All right, so today we're going to be doing an oil change on the 2024 Tacoma TRD, which the engine is the same all across the board from the SR5 to TRD to TRD Pro. We are going to be using AMSOIL 0W20 as well as the OEM filter. And if you do have a 4Runner and you have this tool right here, it works on the plastic cartridge. It also works on the small itty bitty filters that come with the Toyota Tacoma. So big thing with this oil change is this is the first one. It's a break-in. So 673 miles on this thing. Typically between 500 and 1,000 miles, you want to do a first oil change. That's your break-in period. The manual has all the specs on how you're supposed to drive and blah, blah, blah. But we are doing it at 673 miles, the first oil change over to AMSOIL and a fresh filter, because all the cars within the first 1,000 miles have little metal particles and all the other stuff that happens. Even on the 2022 4Runner, when we did the first oil change, it was the same way. So we are going to do this at 670 miles. The tools needed for this, obviously your ratchet, your drain pan, your oil. I use the impact to get off the skid plates. This one has like little paper skid plates. If you see down here, it's very thin. They're more like rock guards than anything, just in case something bounces up. But other than that, this thing holds about 5.6 to 5.9 quarts of oil. So we will add 5 quarts after we pull the skid plates and do everything. So to start, you need to remove your little shield right here, which on the TRD, it's very disappointing. It is solid, but it's pretty thin. But there's 4 bolts right here that you need to go ahead and take off. And let me see, they are a 12 millimeter. All right, so after you take the first plate off, which like I said, it's not really a plate, just a little rock guard, you can see the oil filter right here. Toyota actually made this little drain spout right here. And from what I've heard is when you pull this filter, it'll shoot out, but then it'll still hit your frame. So step 1, take off that front skid. 2 is going to be the 4 bolts on this back one to get to the oil drain. All right, so once you pull the plug, it will spew out. I have cardboard down, thank God, but man, it shot out of there. So let's let it drain, and then we'll move on to the oil filter. After you let your oil drain, go ahead and change out the little washer O-ring on your drain plug. Typically, if you buy a filter from Toyota, they'll throw these in for free. They gave me like 3 or 4 of them last time. So replace that. All right, so we reinstalled the drain plug. Now we are at the oil filter. Like I said, if you have the Motive Tools oil filter wrench, it will fit on here to remove that oil filter. So now we're gonna go ahead and pull that. And once you loosen up the oil filter, it would drain off this little lip, but it still hits the frame. Could have made that a little bit longer. That probably would have helped, but go ahead and pull it off. So here we have both the oil filters pulled out. This is the one I just pulled out of the car. You see the part number, Denso. Part number is different for this one. And this one's also made in Thailand versus this one is made in Japan. Same filter, same part numbers, just made different places. On this, even though the filter does go in sideways, I'm gonna pre-fill it and let it soak up. And that's just personal preference. All right, so now that you have your new oil filter installed and your drain plug with your new gasket in, you can go ahead and start filling this thing up. We're gonna go ahead and start off with probably about 5.5 quarts, and then we will take the dipstick and we will check the level. All right, so in the end, it ended up taking right about 5.8 quarts of oil. So 5 quarts and right there. So 5.8 was the magic number, full oil filter, drain, whole 9. And now we'll get into the other part of why you should do a break-in oil change and why you should stick with 5,000 miles on this style of motor. This is a 2.4 turbo motor. There's the code right there. So T24A. And these things, they're gonna have break-in. It's a turbo motor. It's a newer style motor for a Toyota. It's been around for a couple years, but still a newer style motor. And you need to do a break-in oil change. There's plenty of videos on there with people cutting open filters and finding metal debris and all that stuff. And even this right here, the 22 4Runner 5th gen, the 4-liter, people are finding in the first 500 to 1,000 miles, there's still debris in the oil cartridge and the plastic part that holds the paper oil filter. So it's not uncommon. It's a good habit to do a break-in oil change. Then from here, stick with 5,000. The dealer will advertise 10K oil changes, and that's due to the CAFE. You can look it up, CAFE or CAFE. It's just basically emissions and all the other stuff, and they get money back for publishing 10K oil changes. So the big thing with it is 5K is the normal drive style anyway. You can read the manual. No one drives to the 10K standard. So change your oil every 5K and you'll probably have no issues with these motors.